Hi guys, so we are going to talk about the equation of a circle. There's equations for really so many shapes so that you can then go ahead and graph them, and it kind of shows you what each part of the equation does. So for example, a linear equation is y equals mx plus b. A parabola or a quadratic would be y equals x squared, and then it could have other numbers as well. We've done absolute value. So today we're going to be talking about a circle. So what I want you to do is go ahead and copy this down. This is the standard form. So take a minute and do that, then I'll explain what it means. Okay, so x and y are just x and y. Just like when you do y equals mx plus b, the m and the b mean something. The x and the y are just, they're there. They're for a reason, but they don't stand for specific parts, just the points. So h and k, what I want you to do is write this down here. H and k are your center. So h is the x value and k is the y value. And if you notice, they both have minuses, right? They have subtractions. So if there's a minus in the equation, that means your h is positive. If there's a plus in the equation, then your h is actually negative. And we've dealt with equations like that before, like point slope has a minus in it, right? And so if there's a negative, we have to flip it back to plus. R is your radius. So remember, the radius of a circle is the distance from the center to any point on the circle. Okay, so this is going to be our center, this is our radius. So let me show you how we use this to write equations. So the first one we have here says the center is 2, 13, and the radius is 5. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make parentheses, and we always have an x here. Now your x value of your center is 2, so this is going to be a minus 2, and you'll notice this is squared. And then your y value is 13, so there's a plus here. And this is the y value of the center, so that's another minus because there's a minus in the equation already. So that's going to go there, and then that equals your radius squared. Our radius is 5, 5 squared is 25. Okay, so that's how you would write the equation. X and y stay there. 2, 13 is our center, but those subtraction signs were already in the equation. They don't mean negative 2 or negative 13. There's a plus here, and then we squared the radius. 5 squared is 25. Okay, so let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 says the center is 7, 0. So here's how we'll do that. The first one is really similar. It looks like that. As a reminder, the minus is already there. That doesn't mean negative 7. Now, the y value of the center is 0. So technically I could put a 0 in here, but y minus 0 squared is the same thing as y squared. So I actually don't need the parentheses with a 0. I just write it like this. And that would be the same thing if, let's say there was a 0 here. I would just put x squared. There's no reason to put the 0. It doesn't matter. So that takes care of that. And then we'll put equals. And then the radius is 8. As a reminder, we square our radius, so that's going to be a 64. Okay, let's take a look at one more together. So this one says the center is 6, negative 5. So we're going to start off the same way. So this is going to be x minus 6, and then we have that squared. I see a negative 5, so think about what you would do. There's still a y here. What do you think would go here? Yeah, this is going to be a plus 5. Is a fantastic y. So plus 5, because there's already a minus in the equation, so technically it's minus negative 5, but minus negative 5 is just plus 5. So we have squared. Okay, so that's going to equal our radius squared. Now we notice our radius is a square root, and that's fine. So we're going to square this. So root 15 times root 15 is just 15. All right, and that's our equation. Okay, what I would like you to do is pause the video, go ahead and try number 5 on your own, and then when you're ready to check it, go ahead and hit play and I'll show you what the answer is. By now you should have finished number 5, and this should be the answer. So we just have an x squared here because the x value of the center is 0. We don't need x minus 0, that's just x. And then our y value of our center is negative 16. That means we need a plus because it's minus a negative. We square that as well. And then our radius squared is 4, because 2 squared is 4. That goes there. Okay, so what you're going to do is go ahead and continue working here. So you'll do these last 4 on your own. And then when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and hit play, and then we're going to graph these together. Okay, so now we're ready to start graphing these. For these problems, the equation is given to us. We have to go ahead and graph it. So the first thing we want to do is determine what the center is going to be. Okay, so let's look at the equation here. I notice there's a 2 here and there's a minus. Remember, there's already a minus in the equation, so this represents a positive 2. So our center has an x value of 2. And then when I look at this one, I see a 4, but I see a plus. So that must mean that's a negative 4, right? Because there already was a minus there, so minus negative 4 is plus 4. So that's going to be 2 comma negative 4. That's our center. The next thing we want to find is our radius. And remember, that's on the other side of the equal sign. I see a 9 here, but if you remember from the equation actually has r squared in it. Whatever number is here represents the radius squared. So technically the radius is not 9. The radius is going to be 3. Because 3 squared is 9. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the center and we're going to put that on the graph. So go ahead and find 2, negative 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to make this a smidge thicker so we can see it. Okay, so 2 comma negative 4 is going to be here. And then I'm going to take a look at my radius. My radius is 3. Here's what you're going to do. The radius means that every single point on this circle, which is somewhere around here, is 3 units away from the center. So you're going to go up 3, right 3, down 3, and left 3, and you'll put points at each of those spots. So let me show you what I mean. So we're always starting at the center here. We're not going back up here. This is the center of our circle. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up. There's a point. 1, 2, 3 right. 1, 2, 3 down. And then 1, 2, 3 left. So that looks like some sort of diamond, but technically that's the outside of our circle. It's just that there's also points over here and over here and over here and over here. You're going to use these outside points to draw a smooth circle. I am not going to do that because using my mouse, it's not going to work. So I'm going to cheat. And your circle should basically look like that. Okay? So it's fine if it's not perfect, but that's the general idea. So here's what we did. We looked at the equation and we found the center. We wrote that down. Then we looked at the number here and we used that to determine the radius. We wrote that down. We plotted our center. It's right there. And then we used our radius to find 4 more points. So the radius was 3. We went 3 up, 3 right, 3 down, and 3 left. Those are our 4 points, and we connected them using a circle. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to go ahead and try number 11 on your own. So you'll pause the video, and then you'll do 11. And then when you're ready to check it, hit play, and you'll check your answer. Okay, so by now you should have graphed the circle for number 11. And your circle should look something like that. So I put the center at 4, 4, because that's what I got from right here. And then I looked over here, I saw this was a 4, so that's my radius squared. My radius is 2. I found 2 up, 2 right, 2 down, 2 left, put 4 points there, and then I drew my circle. Okay, what I'm actually going to do is scroll down here to number 15, because 15 has something that's a smidge different, so I want to do that one together. So let's start like we always do. So we're going to go ahead and put in our center here. We'll write that down. So I notice I only have an x squared. Think about what that means for a second for your center. Okay, that means that that's a 0, right? So that's going to be 0. And then y, I see y minus 3, so that represents a positive 3. So that's going to go there. And then my radius, I have 11 here. So we know that that represents the radius squared. So the problem is 11 is not a perfect square, right? So what you're going to do, you're just going to write radius equals root 11. Because the square root of 11 is root 11. And then we'll deal with what that actually equals in decimal form in a second. So let's go ahead and put the center in. So our center is 0, 3. So that's zeros here and then up 3. Now to find the 4 extra points, we need to calculate root 11 on a calculator so that we know how far out to go. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to get pretty close. So if you type in the square root of 11 on your calculator, you are going to get 3.316, and then it continues. So around 3.3. So here's what we'll do. That's about, this is what we're saying, it's about 3.3. Okay, so we're here, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. This would be 4. Here's a half, so we're looking a little less than half, so I'm going to go with right around there. Okay, let's go right 3.3. 1, 2, 3, and then 0.3 is about there. 1, 2, 3, and then 0.3 is about there. And then 1, 2, 3, and 0.3. Okay, so we'll try to be as accurate as we can, and then as usual we're going to go ahead and connect those 4 dots with a circle. So that should look something like that. All right, so it's nice when the r squared is a perfect square like this one or like the other ones we did. If it's not, that's fine. You just represent it as a square root, and then on your calculator you see what is that approximately, and that's how you figure it out from there. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and finish all of these pages. So there's some more to graph here, and there's a couple left on the last page. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you soon.